Launching. 3, 2, 1. Expect delivery this time through.
Good morning. It's Tech Talk Today, episode 243. Actually, if I'm being honest, good afternoon. This is episode 243 of the Tech Talk Today program. My name is Chris.
And I'm Angela.
Hello, Angers. Yeah, we're trying out a Monday afternoon time. How's it feel?
That?
Does it feel good?
It's weird. It's weird.
I feel like I'm more awake because I didn't rush in here to get here. Yeah, did you see that was our first story today? Drone deliveries are a thing. They're real.
We focus on delivering critical medical products to health centers and hospitals that are either difficult or impossible to reach via traditional modes of transportation. It's really, really hard to make sure that people have access to the medicine that they need.
Wow.
So Zipline is designed to allow public healthcare systems to be able to always make a delivery when someone's in trouble.
They're dropping blood from the sky.
From a drone.
And the payload.
We put a package for a clinic into the zip. We put a freshly charged battery. We pre-flight the plane, and then we launch it.
Military-style launch, too.
Automatically out to the clinic where it's delivering the package. It drops the package into the yard of the clinic. We call it the mailbox. It turns around, it flies back home to our distribution center, or it lands. We put a new package, a new battery, and send it off to the next clinic.
One of the things that's kind of innovative about their approach is they're not doing quadcopters, which is sort of the traditional UAV that consumers have access to. It is much more of a traditional plane, like the one flying over right now, and it uses a sophisticated launch system, much like military drones do. The reason why they're going with a more of a traditional style drone here is where they're going. It's pretty windy, right? They're going up into the boonies of Rwanda, and they have to deal with all kinds of storms and whatnot. So they figure if they can make this work, if they can do it there, then they should be able to do deliveries anywhere, which I think is pretty interesting. It's Zipline that's doing all of this work, although they're using a grant from the UPS Foundation, which is the shipping giant's charitable arm. Zipline has opted to produce fixed-wing aircrafts. The Zipline CEO says that it makes the drones much more adaptable to nasty weather and allows them to take and make every single component in the drone redundant. At one point during the press event, the guy says, I could cut any wire in this thing and it would still fly.
That's crazy.
Yeah, redundancy, they say, is cray-cray important because they don't want, medical supplies dropping out of the sky because these are going to remote Rwanda hospitals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder how far away they're launching. Like, is it traveling just a couple miles or is it traveling thousands?
That's a good question. That is a good question. I think it doesn't actually say in the article, which is too... Oh, hold on.
Oh.
A typical range... This is why I didn't know. Here you go. So they say after they've done all of their work, they're essentially trying to get down to the same range as a motorcyclist. Because Zipline drones are fixed-wing aircraft, they can reach and go much further away than the typical 5-kilometer range of a more traditional quadcopter drone. The drone network is expected to go live later this year with up to 150 daily deliveries to 21 remote Rwanda hospitals. But it doesn't exactly say how far they go. But they say as long as we can get more reliable than the current network of deliveries via motorcycle, then we're good. They say if we get more efficient than motorcycles, then we can grow exponentially in the next 10 years. It's a low bar, but Zipline wants to soar right over it. Oh.
Interesting.
Do you get it?
Yeah.
Do you get it?
Yeah, I do.
North Ranger's in there in the mobile room. North Rangers, do you have any thoughts on this story?
Yeah, I totally expect this space to advance quite quickly. The link that I posted in the chat room in IRC from Andrew Chidgel, Samba. They've done a lot of work down in Australia on these types of drones, including fixed wings that can convert to vertical takeoff for medical and for bush rescue.
Hey, that's pretty cool. Wow. Boy, talk about a future where the robots can chase us anywhere. So one of my favorite Android manufacturers is HTC, and they're having a rough quarter. Revenue has fallen 64%. I just want to break it down for you real quick because I think if anybody makes a solidly built Android phone, it's definitely HTC. And they've been in decline for several quarters now, but they've had a plunge now. They just released the Vive, which everybody's giving pretty good reviews, and the HTC One has just come out to pretty good reviews. So those are not reflected in the current quarter results yet. But things are not good. So check this out, Ange. You ready for this, S? Mm-hmm. The company reported $14.8 billion in sales for the first quarter, down from $41 billion a year ago. Profits were $1.8 billion, down from $8.2 billion.
Huh.
Pretty bad. Pretty bad for these guys.
There's got to be some job cutting there, huh?
Oh yeah. You know, they're selling real estate as well. They sold up They're trying to. They're investing $100 million, they say, in Vive. They say they're going to continue to streamline their processes, but they're hoping that their good products, the buzz around HTC from their good products will save them,
But they've had a couple good ones that aren't included in these statistics or data, I guess. I don't know.
Yes. They just released 2 new products that are the HTC 10 and the HTC Vive, but both of them are sort of low volume products. I don't know. It's tough out there. It's tough out there.
Jeez.
So the New York Times put out an article over the weekend that I thought maybe we'd just talk about really briefly because they got podcasting all wrong. Podcasters surge, but pod producers fear Apple isn't listening. What? Apple? What? Yeah. It's they sort of like TiVo for radio for your iPod, because everybody still carries an iPod around.
Right.
It's not just the Wayne's World of radio, but real radio is jumping into this. I like that. So now it's legit because real radio is jumping in. They're talking about this. They say that at this moment of triumph for podcasting, concerns are growing in the community about how much Apple actually cares, as if Apple plays some sort of role, other than outside iTunes. Interviews with over 24 podcasters and people inside Apple reveal a variety of complaints. The podcasters say that they are relegated to wooing a single Apple employee for best promotion, and that sharing on social media is cumbersome, and that for podcasters to make money, they need more information about their listeners, and Apple is in a unique position to provide it.
What?
Yeah, the lack of podcast data is kind of shocking, says Gina Divak, the producer of Call Your Girlfriend, a popular pop culture politics show. Late last month, Apple brought several leading podcast professionals to the company's campus in Cupertino, California, to air their case to a room full of employees, according to 2 people who were there. The people would speak only on the condition of being anonymous because they had signed an NDA from Apple. The company made no promises, but people said that several pressing issues for these professional podcasters were discussed in frank terms.
This is weird because if I'm understanding this correctly, I would more blame, or not blame. I would stick it to Google a little bit.
How so?
If anything, because of ad revenue in YouTube. It's impossible. It feels like the revenue from that should be way higher than it is. It's peanuts. It is.
Yeah, I think though. So YouTube videos and podcasts in the world of the New York Times are not the same thing. YouTube is something completely different than podcasts, and podcasts in the New York Times world are only something you get through iTunes.
Wow.
So okay. that's why they're framing it like this. After the presentation, Eddie Q, the executive at Apple who oversees software and services, arrived for a closed session with the company's employees, according to attendees. They go on in this article to make the case about why podcasters need better access to data about their listeners. We need to know where they listened, how long they listened. They go on to talk about how we need metrics and we need to know what their age and their demographics are. So that way they can better promote to them. They need subscription options in iTunes so they can charge them. They want Apple to do sort of like an app store for podcasts. And so for Apple to give... So for those of you who don't know the way it works in iTunes right now, is as a podcaster, we submit our RSS feed to Apple. Apple lists it in their directory, but that's the end of it. They don't track the downloads. They don't host the files. We host the files. We pay for the transfer. And we're very happy with that arrangement because we then can just track it very simply without any cumbersome, overbearing tracking system. We just track a unique download.
Or
that's
going to 3 different places to figure out what our downloads are.
Yeah, we do. And we have an idea because we can also compare them to server downloads, et cetera, right? But if Apple were to host the files like they do with apps and then also measure all the metrics, you would have yet another place you have to log into to see the metrics for iTunes,
exactly.
See what the downloads were for iTunes. And then if Apple was taking 30% cut on everything, that's the cumbersomeness of the App Store brought to podcasting is not needed. And Overcast, Marco Arment, the creator of Overcast, and one of the hosts of Accidental Tech Podcast, did a really good job of breaking all of this down. Each podcast is hosted anywhere and completely owned and controlled by its producer currently. Podcast player apps periodically check each subscribed RSS feed and pull them down. Monetization and analytics are completely up to podcasters. Apple already has one of the biggest podcast apps out there and one of the biggest podcast directories. If they got involved in distribution, promotion, and things like that, it would be a disaster. And if anything, in the age of Patreon, getting all of this going all data crazy on your audience, it doesn't make any sense, because you can have a YouTube audience with 1.2 million views per video, but if you don't match it up with the right advertiser and actually get use on your promo codes and engagement, it doesn't matter how many numbers you have. The only number that really matters at the end of the day is how much engagement you get from your promotions if you're playing that game. And it feels like an old game to me, and they're playing it the wrong way. They're trying to get more data, more analytics, so that way they can sell to the advertisers. In reality, you just make good content.
Yeah, and choose and be picky about your advertisers.
And perhaps consider a completely advertiser-free medium. Because if you went completely advertiser-free, like we do for this show, I mean, it's funded by the Patreon that funds all of the JB Network, and this is a thank you for that at patreon.com/today. Plug. Then you never have to worry about the data. The only thing we have to worry about is what the Patreon number is, and that's available for everyone to see. It's the most public number out there. And we can see where how many patrons we have, and then we know if we're doing bad or good. That is so much simpler than what they're trying to do. And to hand over distribution and control of podcasting to Apple, and to pretend to have the arrogance that you represent all of podcasting too is pretty egregious. It's pretty nasty. It's an ill-informed New York Times article that's correct in some broad strokes, but once again fails to actually get what the point is. I was a little disappointed, and trust me, we don't want Apple controlling this stuff. That is not going to be the solution.
Nope.
I know you're not a big gamer, Andrews, but this next story, oh man, it makes me drool. Nvidia's got some new hardware.
Uh-oh.
The GTX 1080.
Well, the music is good.
Almost irresponsible amounts of performance. That's what their tagline is. So, Nvidia just released specs on their new GTX 1080 and 1070 line, and they're nuts. They are ultra beefy, and what's great about it, here's a couple of things. Comparing it to their Titan X top-of-the-line graphics card, their big boy, they're the really expensive model. They've dropped power usage from 250 watts to 180 watts. They've dropped the price from $1,000 to $600, and it outperforms the current top-of-the-line model by nearly 10x in some cases. The cheaper 1070 and others are still the GTX 1070, which will sell at $380, will outperform the Titan X, which used to sell at $1,000. This is a massive shift for NVIDIA's graphics capabilities, and it's totally just right in time for VR. It is killer looking. I haven't seen it yet myself, but the hype is so strong with this one that I thought it was pretty neat to talk about. I don't know anybody. I don't know who we got in the moment of North Region. I don't know if you follow the NVIDIA news at all, but the hype was really strong before these cards hit, and then it actually seems like NVIDIA managed to deliver.
I agree. There was a lot of conjecture that there would be, a minor bump, that the 1080 would be able to, match the 980 Ti, and it seems like they've really taken advantage of the switch from 28 nanometer down to 14 nanometer. Yeah, they had some great demos where they showed off. This one's a little hard to see because this one's a little hard to follow if you're not watching. But they show gaming across two monitors, and then they show how they can correct the perception here. And hold on, I'll go back. So here's before they correct it.
However, when you now bent the monitors inward so you can actually see it, the projection is no longer correct. And so, Tom, could you do this? Can you correct it?
Absolutely. So, Sean, give me some correction.
Dang! Look at that! Look at that!
It really has a much more like you're looking out the window effect.
It's really just fantastic.
And notice the tables aren't warped, the chairs aren't warped. Well, let's go back to the way it was.
Yeah, check this out.
Turn it off, Sean. So
Oh no!
It really stands out.
Wow.
it's painful. It's
It's
painful.
painful.
That's the NVIDIA CEO up there, yeah. He's always wearing a leather jacket, and he seems like a pretty fun guy. So there you go. NVIDIA's got me excited. I don't really have much more to say on that. It's neat to see some interesting hardware coming out. And of course, AMD's got a bunch of exciting stuff in the works too. Microsoft.
Chris, it wasn't part of the announcement, but I think this is a really positive sign for whatever mobile parts Nvidia comes up with in the next 6 months.
Oh, interesting.
I know Noah complaining about the battery life on that new Oryx Pro on this week. He might be in laptop envy with some new chips by the end of the year.
Yeah, you're right. Also, boy, that could make a big difference too, right? But also, they had some interesting stuff, some really positive stuff to say about the new Vulkan graphics API too, which was really good news. So that's all good stuff. Now, Microsoft not having such a good time with hardware. They accidentally half-bricked some ASUS machines that run ASUS motherboards machines that run Windows 7 with a UEFI boot glitch. Windows 7 machines that have installed KB313977. They may update, and when they update the update, it may trigger a secure boot violation during startup, preventing the PC from loading the operating system. The patch was moved from suggested to recommended, or optional, I guess, to recommended, so it started rolling out to more people. ASUS says that its newer boards support a unified extensible firmware interface for secure boots mechanism by default. However, this patch affects some older ASUS motherboards that were sort of trying to do secure boot during Windows 7 era before it was really official. And to remedy the issue, ASUS recommends that users access the firmware settings on their PC and disable secure boot altogether. Jeez. But yeah, you install, can you imagine you install this KB, this update, and then you go to reboot and you're getting the secure boot violation. Yeah. That's a slap in the face. That would, oh man, that would make me upset. You know what else makes me upset?
What?
This one's a real barn burner. I don't know what to make of this. The FBI may be able to obtain a warrant for your machine to get access to it if you just have Tor installed and you run the Tor software.
Wow.
Yeah. This is really bad. The U.S. Supreme Court has approved a rule change that will shake things up like never before by granting every federal magistrate judge the right to issue a warrant for anyone using Tor. If the U.S. Congress does not undertake action to fight the ruling, it will go into effect in December of 2016. As a result, the FBI can legally search computers running Tor remotely, even if they have no idea where the machine is located or what it is being used for. Simply having Tor installed on a computer would be reason enough for the FBI to investigate that user to combat cybercrime. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, that's a nasty one that we'll be keeping our eyes out for. Yeah. Just to keep watching. So looks like Congress has to do something by December.
Is Tor like the name of a program that allows you to,
Tor is
any kind of program?
No, Tor is a specific type of software designed to make it look like so you really can't tell where somebody's coming from on the net, and it's used for a lot of things. For example, it's used for journalists. It's used for Bitcoin transactions for people who want to be ultra secure. There was just recently a news study or a news report that said over 1 million users use Tor to access Facebook for whatever reason. I don't know why that is, but Tor just recently published that over 1 million users just are using Tor to access Facebook. So there's a lot of different reasons why you want to maybe hide where you're coming from. Maybe you're Edward Snowden. Maybe you're a group of journalists that are talking about the Panama Papers.
So Tor is just a mask.
Yeah, Tor's like, you ever like watching like sci-fi and they're like, bounce the signal around, scatter the signal around so they can't see where we're coming from. Think of it like that. You have a series of anonymizing routers that people can run that will bounce you around. Mm-hmm. And you can combine it with other techniques. It's not perfect. It's definitely not perfect, but it's like BitTorrent in a lot of ways. You can use BitTorrent to download TV shows, and you can also use BitTorrent to download Linux ISOs. And so there's, yeah. Speaking of Bitcoin, remember last week when we were talking about Craig Wright potentially being Satoshi Nakamoto?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes. Well, no.
What? Yeah. Wow. He backed out?
Yeah, he totes backed out.
Holy crap.
Yeah, he did. He had a little hissy fit. He basically was grumpy that everybody got up in his biz. He wrote that he was sorry for Gavin and others for the damage they took. It's extremely fascinating.
Is it believable?
Well, I don't think so. Here's what the journalist at the BBC said. He wrote that he was waiting to get it verified. Now, hold on, because it's kind of hard because the guy talks about it in first person. So Dr. Wright had told them that he would provide proof if the journalist at the BBC, and Gavin would send him some coins to the original block address of Satoshi. And once they did that, he would sign them back. I'm looking for the quote, but my highlighter program totally borked on me. But anyways, he never wrote them back. He never sent it back. So they got $5 in Bitcoins from the BBC reporter, Gavin, and the director of the Bitcoin Foundation.
Who backed him up, right?
Yeah. So he got $5 total in Bitcoin, and then said, all right, I'll send it back to you. And then instead of ever sending it back, crickets, blog post saying, I'm out, sorry, so long, see ya.
Weird.
Yeah, he basically blames the hostility of the community and says that, You know, he doesn't claim it's not him, but
okay.
yeah. Yeah, I'm really curious to know.
So somebody tick the chat room because I'd be curious to see. It was 466 last.
It's
Tuesday.
468 now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's stabilized out now that yeah.
Okay.
And so I thought there were a couple of takes on Twitter that I liked. The first came from Bruce Fenton. He said with cryptography and blockchain-based audits, Madoff, who fooled the board of NASDAQ, would have been caught in days rather than 40 years. So Bernie Madoff scammed the market for 40 years.
Wow.
That was a good point, I thought. Good point. And then WikiLeaks had a tweet that I thought was interesting. He'd say, we'd like to thank #Satoshi hoaxer Dr. Craig Wright for showing how bankrupt the fact-checking standards are for the BBC, LRB, and The Economist, which is also a really good point.
Yep.
Yeah. It does speak sort of volumes about their fact-checking. Yeah, so he's out. The Bitcoin community is sort of feeling hurrah right. And as far as I know, Gavin hasn't had his commit access reinstated.
Yeah, right, because he lost that.
Yeah, and he
by supporting-
tweeted sort of downplaying it too.
Huh.
Yeah. They do have a Madoff, right? It is pronounced Madoff, or Madoff, not Madoff. Moving on, just briefly before we get to our you know what of the week, did you know that PayPal quietly made a change today to make it so that way you couldn't back out of crowdfunding? So it's just a small little change, but
interesting.
in Australia, Brazil, Canada, Japan, and the U.S., and other countries, they say. Okay, so just, those other ones. We have excluded payments made to crowdfunding campaigns from our buyer protection programs.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I stepped on your title, Andrews.
Okay. Well, that's interesting because we were getting so close. Well, I was personally to canceling one of the laptops that you had ordered because it seriously was
The Librem.
It took a year and a half or something.
Yeah, I remember.
Like you took our money and we don't have anything, and yeah. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Makes me think we need a new segment. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, PayPal just quietly making that change right there, Yeah, I know. Maybe it is time, but in the meantime, I have maybe the best Monday afternoon Kickstarter ever. You're going to love this thing, and you're going to want 3 of them in your home, and you're going to need 3 of them too. It's got 593 backers. It has it's reaching it wants to reach a goal of $50,000. It has reached $126,000 with 23 days left to go.
Okay, what is it?
Fresh tortillas.
Nope.
Or I'm sorry, tortillas
Nope.
at the push of a button.
No.
This is flatbread. It makes fresh, perfect tortillas in seconds at the press of a button.
Boom!
It starts with this. This little pod contains a fresh single-serving portion of dough.
It's got a K-cup for tortillas, Ange.
Oh, it's corn even, so it's gluten-free.
It's got K-cups.
That's water and stone-ground corn or wheat flour, all natural, non-GMO organic. You drop in a pod, select how soft or crispy you like it.
I like it crispy.
Ooh, I like
If you're making a flour or corn tortilla, and boom, done. The drawer keeps your finished tortilla warm.
say, show us.
In case
One tortilla per pod.
you're making more than one at a time. Maybe you're in the mood to try a little something sweet for breakfast. Or spice things up at dinner with a chili flavored tortilla.
They also have a cinnamon
Okay.
tortilla.
Did they not learn from the whole K-cup backlash of the individual pod and it does
One
say 100%
pod-
recyclable,
one
but
pod,
seriously,
one pod per tortilla.
poor tortilla.
And because they're fresh when you eat them, not when you buy them, they're even better than what you can buy at a bakery. Think about it. And since
Think
each
about
pod
it.
makes a single tortilla, you only make what you actually eat. So it cuts down on food waste too.
Oh
Your
my
bread is
goodness.
fresh, your meals are tastier. When your ingredients are fresh, they're not full of additives, so it's healthier.
Uh-huh.
When you use flat dev, it's faster, it's better, it's delicious.
I feel like her accent was only
When she said
sounding
tortilla.
Latino when she said
Yeah, that was a nice one. Yeah, that was a nice touch. So I think I'm gonna do some little pooling with Rotten Corpse and maybe order a couple of these. What do you think, Rotten?
Fantastic. I'll take 3.
Yeah. So I did a little reading because I know as purchasers we're gonna want to know how these pods work. So I went ahead and looked at their fact section a little bit, and I like how they explain some of these things. So there's quite a bit of questions when it comes to the pods. And yes, it is one tortilla, or how'd she say it? Tortilla?
Yeah, I don't know.
One tortilla per pod. They don't yet have a pod subscription program, but you know it's coming.
Oh,
Andrews.
yeah, it is.
Yeah. Here's what I really loved about this. Why the pods, right? Consistent quality, freedom of choice, reduction of food waste. And then they mentioned consistent quality and freedom of choice again, actually. It's kind of funny.
All right, folks. Or you could just run Linux.
But then
right?
here's what's funny. In the next line, to start off, they're only going to have 2 flavors. So they talk about freedom of choice.
They talk about 3 flavors. Regular, cinnamon, and chili.
Yeah. But to start, they're only going to have corn and flour tortillas, and then they'll rapidly have more. The pods are recyclable, so you'll be able to get that. You can only buy the dough pods from them. Once commercially available, you'll be able to buy it from other people. But until then, that's probably like fall of 2017. So you're only going to get your dough pods from Flat Ev directly. So you got to consider that. I find this to be pretty funny. So it's DRM tortillas, everybody. Yeah, and
the inventor of K-Cups apologized for how awful they were for getting rid of a mess and environmental issues.
Yeah.
So even the guy who invented it is like, I'm sorry.
I love the way they spin this though. So they have in the frequently asked questions, how many tortillas can you make with each pod? At Flat Ev, our focus is on quality, not quantity. We package only 1 tortilla per pod. That's such a good way to spin it. And look, yeah. Can I use my own? What if I want to use my own dough? We think it's great that you can make your own tortilla dough. But due to variations in personal recipes and precision needed for the Flat Ev artisan tortilla maker to bake tortillas properly, this version does not work with handmade dough. It's programmed to bake a very specific type of composition and volume of dough. To achieve this, the Flat Ev artisan tortilla maker works with recyclable pods doughs, which deliver freshness and quality consistency every single time. The pods control precise blends of ingredients, so all your tortillas come out perfect. We're sure you'll love your tortillas, and if you really want to get your hands dirty, you can always dig a vegetable garden. Wow. Go F yourself.
Wow.
I love it. The arrogance is so good. What are the costs of the pods? Do you have a guess? I'll tell you this. They're reasonable. They're reasonable.
75 cents per pod?
That's damn close, actually.
Okay.
79 cents per pod.
Wow. Look at me. Ding, ding, ding.
That actually does put them quite a bit, though, above like a grocery store tortilla.
Oh, yeah. No, I just bought and you notice the size.
Yeah.
The size matters. Yeah. That's a small tortilla.
It
right?
is. Well, that way you don't eat. They say right here they make them small so that way you don't eat too much.
Well, that's
fatty.
a good idea. Yeah, no, you just make the plate smaller. But I bought 6-inch tortillas, 15 of them for $3 the other day. So, yeah, that's a lot more expensive. Plus, you have to buy the machine. How much is the machine?
Well, so here's our different pricing options. Of course, you got a bunch of different ones. But if you get in, all the early birds at $199 are gone. So the next one's the $219 is gone, but we still have about 20 left at the $240 price. And then it goes up to $330.
You know what? I wonder if this Kickstarter needs to know more details about the audience that might need it.
Yeah, they need data. They need data.
They might need to talk to Apple about
for their tortilla making. Yeah. They need big data.
No, actually, I could see a lot of Mexican families still make tortillas. Have a special family.
Oh yeah,
recipe.
man, they're the best. Homemade tortillas are the best.
Huge, good investment for them. But yeah, not for me.
But the most important question is, does it hook up with your iPhone so I can remotely make more tortillas?
Yeah, where's the Bluetooth angle here? I agree.
Well, see, the thing is, you can make one. It doesn't hold more than 1 pod, though.
No, yeah, right.
Even if your iPhone could connect to it, it's not like you're gonna have a party.
Yeah, that's when you bring in Linux and some those connector things. So you make a little robot. So you just bring a Raspberry Pi robot, this thing, perfect, automated tortillas.
Yep.
If this thing made half a bag of chips, you'd almost have me. And then if you had different chili flavored chips, barbecue flavored chips, salt and vinegar flavored, if this thing was a chip maker and I pulled out that tray and instead of a tortilla in there, I got a basket full of chips and then a little guac thing on, and then on the other side you put an avocado in there. I'm in.
Some nachos.
Dude, totally. Now.
Oh yeah, cheese sauce.
Boom.
Okay, I actually would get that.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, deep fryer in the bottom, a sour cream dispenser on the side.
Yep.
Perfect. All right, so there we go. We're gonna give this a hearty lose. Even though it's already, I think it's already well beyond its goal. So it's already funded. It's already going to ship. Enjoy your tortilla maker, everybody.
That was in quotes. Just because we just can't trust Kickstarters anymore.
No, I know. We've been burned.
Yeah, it's totally going to ship. Quote.
And apparently PayPal can't trust them either.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
This is a good question. Why can't we have 3D printers for food? I would love a 3D printer.
It's happening. It's happening. Patreon.com/today is also happening. Your support there makes this network possible. That's happening. Patreon.com/today. We're reworking it. We're going to jiggle the handle a bit over at Patreon.com/today and bring some stuff eventually. But right now, this is where you go to support the network. Disregard. Hey, look.
I don't even know why. I looked at that today.
What?
Why is that the?
That's just the last thing posted, I think.
But
that picture?
Yeah.
Oh, because I played a little bit of a Beer's Tasty clip in Unplugged,
okay.
and then YouTube just randomly decided to find the part where I look the absolute fattest, and then put that there as the still. Yeah,
that was the first thing I noticed, and then I'm like, wait, is that Brian?
Yeah.
It took me a long time to figure out.
Remember when he shaved his head?
Yeah. Yeah, but it's so weird. He looks so different.
So Patreon.com/today. We've been posting stuff up there for them patrons.
Yep.
To get access to. So we appreciate your support. There we fund not just sort of like future projects, but your contributions there also help go fund essential support staff for the JB Network, which is one of our most critical resources, and we really appreciate your help with that. Patreon.com/today. That way we can keep going forward. Keep on pushing, y'all, because we got all kinds of things to get to this year. We got a big year ahead of us. A bunch of 2016 left. Any shenanigans you want to mention going on in regards to the patrons there, Andrews?
Nope, not at the moment.
Nice.
Yeah, I know.
Solid. You tease it good.
Well, yeah, right? Well, I mean, we're going to be redoing the goals and levels and stuff, or, just some general information on it and probably reshoot the video, but
we got it. We got to, right? That's it. That's part of the thing that's going to take forever. Like, when are we going to get to doing that? I almost feel like I just want to do something totally different, too.
And then you don't necessarily have to support us over at patreon.com/today. You could also do patreon.com/unfilter. It's the one show that has been segmented off because, you know what? It's just... It is a better crowdfunded, we don't have to worry about.
Oh, and it's a huge... the main thing, and I could always see us doing with a future show, too, like we tried it with How To Linux, like if it is almost an entire network's worth of work on its own.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Unfiltered
Otherwise it's not sustainable.
Takes a village is what it is. So that's why it has its own. But yeah, support us any way you can.
Now, next week, I think we might try the Monday time again.
Okay.
So if you could join us live, we would love that at jblive.tv, jupiterbroadcasting.com/calendar for your local time. But we usually do it Tuesday mornings. And
9 o'clock Pacific.
Yeah, and so we're moving it to 2 p.m. Monday.
Right, and so...
Which is just a little bit after Coda Radio. So you come for Coda Radio and you can hang out for Tech Talk.
So that's 5 p.m. Eastern, and I don't know what the other conversion times are, but that should hook a couple of you. And then also, if you show up for Linux Unplugged on Tuesday, it's the same time, but Monday, right? So
there you go.
Monday and Tuesday, you show up at the same time.
That's pretty obvious, actually.
For a live event where you can participate.
There you go. And of course, you can always go to the calendar page, like I mentioned, to get that converted to your local time zone. And we'd love to have you in the Mumble Room. You can join our chat room and hang out there, too. All right, so I guess only a last thing to plug would be the subreddit, techtalktoday.reddit.com. Great place for Kickstarters, feedback, links, stories, all of that. We appreciate it. So thank you for doing it. techtalktoday.reddit.com, jupiterbroadcasting.com/contact, and at Jupiter Signal for the network Twitter account. And I leave you with a 90s commercial that if you're about my age, you probably remember this, and you probably don't want to, but I'm making you.
Magic Potty Baby, your bottle's all done. At potty training time will be so much fun. I help you with your training pants, you make me so proud. Your potty feels like magic, then it flushes out loud.
It's fun to help Magic Potty Baby learn to use her potty. Flush and you're ready for next time.
Magic Potty Baby, I'm so glad that you're mine.
Magic Potty Baby and her Magic Potty. No water, no mess. Batteries not included.